Good afternoon, and welcome to the magnificent precinct of the Shrine of Remembrance here in Melbourne. To our audience watching via the live streaming service, a very warm welcome to you today as well. Down here in the lower area of the Shrine of Remembrance, we have a unique body of people assembled, being the Aussie Veterans Association. And before the commemorative service gets underway, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome on behalf of the Shrine Trustees, administration of the Shrine of Remembrance, to welcome you here today. And I'd like to acknowledge the way that the Shrine of Remembrance does embrace diversity in this, the community, the wider community of the Bunurong people. Bunurong people, part of the Kulin Nation, the original holders of this land. As the traditional custodians, we acknowledge their elders, past members, the present, and of course, emerging members who will become part of the important Kulin Nation. To launch the service and to get matters underway, I introduce to the lectern Mick Quinn, the Secretary Manager of the Aussie Veterans Association. Mick.
We'll look at it. There we go. First of all, I'm Governor, Squadron Leader Peter Meehan, I am. Services here today. Peacekeeping is one of Australia's probably greatest achievements in military, bouncing around since running on from World War II. We've touched on just about every operation. We're looking across the back wall behind us. The majority of the deployments listed there are either. But one of the big things which has happened, given that the United Nations first formed in 1947, one of the big things that happened is that if you look at a particular group which has been able to achieve and go through these wall on the successes we've had over the years, and go there for a, this is dropping in and out a bit, isn't it? For a holiday, the country is working well. We've got Malaya, Korea. Korea is probably the biggest action which the United Nations was formed on. And when I say the biggest, that was their first warlike operations which they conducted. But we're here today following on from after the United Nations was formed. The first peacekeepers which were ever deployed were 3 Australians that deployed to Indochina, which is now Indonesia. And again, another successful United Nations mission. United Nations comes under fire a hell of a lot, but when we start comparing what the United Nations, as us what a world can achieve, when we can compare it to what is allied nations and borders and the ongoing problems which that inherently gives the rest of the world. So we've had peacekeepers deployed around the clock since 1947 and still deployed today. And in countries which aren't even listed here. Now we've lost, if you turn to the back page of the of your order of service, there's a big long to make sure that we honour those today. Now without without taking away, is a Cambodian veterans here today. Our Dave Menz is standing up, and he's our guest speaker today to Cambodia. Thank you.
Not bad for a young man. 30 years ago, 23. in Cambodia. After UNIMIC came UNTAC, United Nations Transitional Authority Cambodia. I was on that mission, one of the earlier. And me arriving, we overlapped. And then when I actually did, 13 months later, we have Karen home to do the bump out. That is to pack up everything, pick up all our dirty clothes and whatever and take them out, pay the local pubs our bill. So that was okay. They were good at that. Cambodia, 1992, May. I remember leaving Australia. I remember rocking up, went through Thailand. We got into Thailand and we had all our weapons in a box, and someone got nominated to look after the weapons, not me. Some of us went down the road to have a few drinks before we flew in the next day. We flew in on a Vietnamese light aircraft. Still remember the toilet you couldn't use because they were full of our packs and everything. We had our weapons with us. Young lady walking down the aisle trying to serve food. Offered one of the blokes the food and it fell off the plate. She picked it up, put it back on the plate, offered the gentleman the food again. And I don't know. So I did not. It's going to be a bit untasteful, this, but we had a thing called Cambodian two-step. Two-step was, you take 2 steps, you'd vomit or you poo your pants. Diarrhea. It was that bad. You'd walk into the shower, you have a young bloke lying, or a young lady, but we never went to the ladies' showers, but you went into the male showers and you'd find a young bloke laying on the floor, and you wouldn't laugh. That's it. But you never paid out on anyone. Our bosses over there, we had different ones. Most of them were really good. We lost one last year, which was Barry Martin, our RSM at the time. Him and I had a few fallings out, but overall he was a nice guy. Most of our guys were nice guys. There was one bloke there, for the Cambo vets who might know. He was a troublemaker. For those young, you know him, don't you, Mick? Mick Peslow? Yeah, he got up to some weird stuff. I think he's still around somewhere. I don't know where he is. But when you get off the plane in Cambodia, if you've ever been to Asia, you get that lovely smell as you get off the ground, that humid smell, and it's like it's a gut-wrenching smell. And you'll get there and go, this isn't good. And then as you're driving through town to go to the camp, you see all these locals for food, kids are begging. And it was a bad time in 92. Even when we left in 93, kids were still begging. One time, a gentleman in the Central Market, no legs, no arms, begging for money. And I saw this person from another UN country, and he threw some coins down at this bloke to give him some money. I won't name the country. And this gentleman was after money. He politely tilted his head forward, leant over, used his tongue, picked up the coin with his lips and tongue, put it in his hat, grabbed the hat, flipped it back on his head, put his elbows, what left of his arms together to say thank you, and walked off. That's not bad. He used to go to, he had an amputation that was years old, and what he would do with the fuel, turn up the next night when all the guys would rock up, felt sorry. It's Cambodia. Super ones. If you think of Chad, they rush to school. Education is king. Move forward in life, they can support. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your service is greatly appreciated. Those here and have. And before I do,
Mr. Brett Wiggins is he's Army and served over in Timor as an engineer. As an association, he's been a very loyal and helpful member with the association. And Brett, I invite you to please come up here and.
Name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that have trespassed against us. And lead us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever.
Amen. Thank you, Brett. Fiona Quinn served in the Corps of Signals for 17 years. Sorry? Oh. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Karen Holmes, we'll go back one step. Karen Holmes served in the Royal Australian Electrical Mechanical Engineers and served in Cambodia as well. Karen will be leading the wreath laying this morning. Thank you, Karen. There are no other wreaths to be laid today. Thank you, Karen. Fiona Quinn served in the Corps of Signals 17 years and discharged as a sergeant. On top of that, the surname is very familiar, being my wife as well. So, Fiona, if you could come to the stand for the ode, please.
Could I ask everyone to stand, please? They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn them. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them. Lest we forget.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
If you all be seated, please. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone who's fronted up here today, not only to acknowledge Peacekeeper Day, but also for the 30-year anniversary of the deployment to Cambodia, Unimik UNTAC. I'd like to thank the Shrine of Remembrance. Every year you do the right thing by us, and everything's prepared and ready to go. Thank you very much. Governor, thank you very much. And I'd like to dismiss the guard. Thank you very much for your services today.